The US President Donald Trump and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke over the phone. They may have talked about a number of issues, the weather included, and of course Afghanistan, the Rohingya crisis and other issues. But the White House press release also makes casual mention of the Maldives. In fact, so casual that it stands out because the crisis in the Maldives is the subject of maximum urgency at the moment. It can hardly be a coincidence that statement was issued almost immediately after the phone call. For very soon after the first of the Maldivian envoys sent to quote-unquote explain President Yamin's seizing of absolute power in the crisis-ridden nation. Significantly, in the mothership of global terrorism, Pakistan. Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi also underlined the importance of respect for democracy and law. President Yamin has, of course, seized both the parliament and the judiciary of his country and thrown all those that he dislikes, including the country's top judges, behind bars. Meanwhile, envoys sent by the Maldivian President Yamin to nations such as China, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, met with leaders of those countries. They briefed them on the political crisis in the Indian Ocean nation that spurred the imposition of a state of emergency. WION senior foreign editor Padma Rao joining me live on the broadcast for more on that story. Padma, when that ruling in favor of those 9 political prisoners had come out, you'd already foreseen this sort of situation unfolding in the Maldives. So in many ways, this is going according to the expectations of people such as the former president also.
In a way, yes. In a way, no. We've just had some very interesting news, Aisha, and WION again, I hope, and I'm sure will be among the first to bring this to our viewers. China is actually also talking to India. I repeat, according to the Press Trust of India, which has just filed a report from China, where, as you just read out, there is a Maldivian envoy meeting the Chinese officials about the standoff in the Maldives. And the reporters were assured by a Chinese official or by sources in the foreign ministry in China that India and China, I repeat, India and China are also in talks with each other regarding the situation in the Maldives. Now, having said that, certainly WION has been on the ball right from day one, and we have covered a lot of ground, in fact, pioneering ground, I would say. As the report just indicated, we did point out to the very conspicuous casualness, if you like, of the mention of the Maldives amongst a host of other issues in the conversation that President Donald Trump had with Prime Minister Modi, and indeed that must be on top of their minds. But China continues to urge, as I read out from the latest report coming in from China, continues to urge the international community to keep out of it and to let the Maldivians decide for themselves. When a reporter pointed out, however, that there is nobody left to decide amongst themselves, there is actually only one person in power in the Maldives. The Chinese, spokesman had nothing further to add. So there is, and China is playing on, there have been instances. It is generally known that China is more interested in its investments and protecting the infrastructure it builds, and it does not generally interfere or does not generally take interest in domestic issues. But it has done that, indeed, in the case of, Robert Mugabe and in many other countries where it has ambitions of its to build its Belt and Road initiative. Other countries should stay out of the Maldives conundrum is a bit like the pot calling the kettle black.
What do we gauge, though, from India's response, Padma? India has, of course, declined to meet with any of the Maldivian envoys. Why do you think this stance, and where do you think India positions itself right now on the crisis unfolding in the island nation?
I think India has positioned itself extremely smartly and wisely, on the side of erring on the side of caution, let's say. It has received a lot of, criticism from certain gung-ho circles, if you like, in our country, who want the army to go right out there and slam everyone. But obviously, international politics don't work like that. Certainly not in a region where there are other major powers also present. In this case, China, in this case, the United States. There are so many other interests that are hovering hovering around the Maldives, because the Maldives is located at a very crucial crossroads in the Indian Ocean, which is the crossroads where oil tankers of all the major countries, and mostly the oil-hungry emerging superpowers, India and China, are located. It's exactly at this junction. So it's of great interest to everyone in the world to keep these oil lanes safe and secure without having too many of these, coups and disturbances, domestic disturbances, which could easily spill over to investments and eventually also hold ships at hostage.
We'll leave it at that. Padma, thanks very much for helping us understand further what's going on in the Maldives.